So, we're back. New framework. Let us know if you want me as the main presenter, because I'm going to fail my audition now. But I am presenting this one because him is in the hot seat. So today's episode is going to be around contest prep, prepping yourself, and the experience that him has had specifically through this process. It's flagging now because it's currently 3:30 and is, how many weeks into prep are you?
Oh, I don't know,
It's been 3 years into prep. So we don't know what year it is now. Let us know what year it is. But today is going to be a little bit of behind the scenes into a contest prep, but also a self-prepping as well. So where do we start? I think, well, I just asked you a question before we began and you said you'd save it for now. So how many shows have you actually done? Like maybe not individually, but how many times have you went through a prep?
So the first time I decided to compete was 2017. I think I did a season then, and then 2019, 2021, and now 2026. Yeah.
So it was 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, and now 5 years.
Yeah.
Why the long
hiatus? I think it was just mainly to just recover myself, I guess. When you do 2 years back to back and you push yourself, it's hard. And I think 2019 was a very hard season for me. I really pushed myself beyond craziness. 16 weeks I took off about 15 kilos, which is kind of crazy, right? And I just didn't, I was doing an hour and a half cardio, hit every day, that kind of shit to get in shape. And I got into really good shape, but that took a lot out of me. And I don't think I really truly recovered yet. And then I went into prep again because I said 2019 I wanted to redeem myself. I want to,
So when you say redeem yourself from what?
I got in great shape for the summer show, and then I got invited to the finals, right? And I was like, oh shit, I didn't know you could do the finals. That kind of thing. And the finals in September. And I was already, because I dieted for 16 weeks so hard, I was cooked. And it was just literally damage limitation all the way until, it was almost eating disorder kind of shit, right? All the way up until September, and I just couldn't last. And that was a big learning for me to say, never do summer shows. And
did you prep yourself for that then? Or
I didn't. I had a coach.
So you don't have to call it, well, you don't have to name them, but did you feel like you had the guidance there? Or
I think
could it have been a little bit?
I think he did what he needed to do. So I told him that I wanted to do this show, and he prepped me for that show. But I think what would have been nice would have been from the beginning to say, hey, you're probably not going to be able to get in shape for that show unless we do this. Why don't you think of doing some other shows so that then you've got the potential to do really well in the finals, etc. So you can do some later shows and then stack it so then it's not so rushed. That would have been really nice, I think, because that's what I tell my athletes now. So if they come to me and I say, there's one guy said to me, I want to do a show in 8 weeks. I said, no fucking way are you going to do that in 8 weeks, right? And I think that would have been nice. But he did what he needed to do to get me in shape. So I don't necessarily blame him.
Cool. So then 2017 you had a coach. 2019 you prepped yourself.
I had a coach as well.
Had a coach then?
Yeah.
And was it 2021 you prepped yourself?
No, this is the first time I prepped myself.
Oh, this is the first time? I thought you prepped yourself before. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you had the different coach from 2000. So how many coaches?
2017, that first show I had for the summer, I had one coach. Mm-hmm. And I switched over to Jeff Alberts from 3DMJ for the remainder of that season.
Mid-season?
Mid-season, yeah.
Why?
I think it was a bit of, I was listening to their podcast at the time, and there was a lot of information that I was taking in. I was like, shit, I need to get on this roster to learn more about it. And I felt like I rinsed enough from this initial coach. And that's what kind of made me.
Did he take it okay? The coach?
I think so. I
don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he really cared that much. You know what I mean?
That's probably one of the problems then, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think he really cared that much, to say,
cool,
keep you as a client or whatever. It's not like his main gig, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So sorry, 1 second. So the second season, you stayed with the same coach through. Did you have the same coach through off season as well?
Yeah, so from the second half of 2019, I had Jeff was my coach, and he coached me for the off season, then coached me all the way through the 2021 contest prep as well.
Cool. Perfect. And then long
And
height.
he was my last coach.
Cool. So long height. Would you get a coach again?
Do you know what? For this contest prep, I did consider it. I had a few people shortlisted.
Who was in the shortlist?
Cliff Wilson, he was like top of the list. I've been to a few seminars. He's like prep loads of like pro bodybuilders, and a lot of the way that I coach is based upon similar concepts that he does. And then second, also Jeff was in the mix to kind of return because I think he was a great coach. And also Christian.
Oh.
Yeah, Christian, is it Physique Pro now?
Yeah, because he coaches JT that's going to come on the podcast at some point.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Okay.
But he's more like, I like him as a person.
I was going to say, his vibe. He looks like vibes.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. So what made you ultimately decide like to go with nobody and just do it yourself?
So for me, it was more like I wasn't sure if I would do the prep. So I did I did want to compete this year. I did the pre-prep in preparation, like from, I think it was September to December, I did a little diet. So that was like a pre-prep to get me kind of a little bit closer to distance. And then I did a little like a maintenance phase from January to March. And I wasn't sure if I was going to go through with the contest prep. So that's why I just, didn't want to engage with anyone.
Yeah. It's interesting because for me, like, I don't know, it's not even the same. I done a photo shoot last year and I started a diet process myself, similar to what you did. And I think I went from January to March, maybe April. And I always knew in my head I was going to get a coach though, but I got to a point when I was like, I don't want to do this for myself anymore. Not because I couldn't, because I've done like loads of photo shoots for other people. It was just because I didn't want to, because for myself, I'm another person to then take on. I've got to check in for myself and etc. And as I went through the process, it became clearer that I was happy with my decision to get a coach, because I think about 6 or 7 weeks out, I said I was done. And I didn't tell Ant this. Ant was my coach. He still is my coach. Didn't tell him this, but every week on a call, I was going to say to him, I'm done. I'm going to say I'm done as in like I'm happy with where I am.
I don't want to get leaner.
Yeah, I'm okay. Like I was already shredded. I was in good shape. And I was like, okay, it's cool. And every single week I've done a little bit more. And I realized if I would have still been my own coach, I wouldn't have got that last whatever percentage it was. And in hindsight, I was like, okay, I had it to go. I didn't know I had it to go, but I had it to go and I could have given it. And that made me like justified in why I got a coach. So I was interested to hear your opinion, but I thought that you had prepped yourself completely for your last show as well. So I didn't know that this is your first time actually prepping. So do you feel like you will get to a point, and you won't know this, but do you feel like that you can get to a point where you need someone else to be like, okay, let's go.
There might be, but at the moment, like, where you said you felt like you made the right decision I think I made the right decision in not getting someone either. Like I felt probably this week or a couple of weeks before, I just don't feel that same pressure. Because when you have a coach, I felt a lot of pressure in the sense of I need to keep turning up and this accountability kind of thing. Like there's almost no margin for error. Otherwise there's more pressure, because I think we're our own biggest critics when it comes to competing. So I personally feel like I know when I could have done better myself already. Like I'm very self-aware of that. But then to check in and then to have someone else maybe even pile on more pressure, it's like you already kind of feel bad, but then to have someone pile it, and even if the coach is quite nice about it, that then makes me feel even more guilty, because I'm like, he's so nice about it, And but for me, like now, if there's been moments where maybe I didn't lose that rate of loss for the week, maybe there was a party or whatever that I had, well, we went on holiday where I went to Greece. I wouldn't say I was perfect on that trip, but it's there's just been more accountability from my side to just go, look, mate, you need to step it up, like, rather than somebody else piling pressure, if that makes sense.
So how do you set yourself up? Like, because I've heard of, and I spoke to actually, people that have prepped themselves for various things in the past where they'll fill in their own tracker and check-in sheet. Some people actually record themselves a Loom video to watch back themselves after they've recorded it. But like they want to completely like compartmentalize coach versus client. So they'll do it in the hope of taking the objectivity, like to keep objective and not have emotion in it. Do you have any ways of coaching yourself to kind of not be you, if that makes sense?
Yeah, the way that I do it is, I did initially have a call with Alberto Nunes, who is part of 3DMJ as well. So he works with Jeff. So that was just initially like, I set out my whole timeline and whatever. And I just literally went, hey, what do you think of my timelines? They didn't necessarily tell me anything that I didn't know already, but it was good to have someone to say, okay, look, this is about the right timeline. Maybe you can make some a little bit of adjustment over here. But I was along the right lines. So I had someone kind of overlook the process straight away. But yeah, obviously the nuts and the bolts of it now is kind of up to me. In terms of how I keep myself accountable, I actually use a lot of the Instagram posts. So every week I kind of put a post up to say like, this is what I did for the week kind of thing. And that's actually been a little bit of like a reflection checking kind of style. And because I'm creating that video, then I have to do progress pictures for that. So that helps me to take some, like, keep reliability of taking those progress pictures and videos. And then if I'm honest, I use AI a lot. I have a lot of conversations with AI in terms of like, I have this, so I use Claude, right? And I have like a contest prep project or whatever it's called. And I just literally say all my thoughts in there. I'm like, look, this is what I've done this week in terms of check-in. What do you think? Blah, blah. And one time they said to me, oh, don't worry, just you have a refeed or some shit. And I was like, yeah, but the science says that, you know, refeeds actually just slow down your progress. Like it's not really that necessary kind of thing. And they were like, oh yeah, you're absolutely right. So it's a little bit like that. Yeah. But it is quite nice to just have a little bit of discussion.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I want to go back briefly to like the Instagram accountability because I do know people that have done both, like people that lock themselves away because they don't want the possible scrutiny from Instagram, and then people that enjoy the accountability from kind of like showing or saying to the wider public you are doing something, so that means you have to do it. But like, do you feel, because you mentioned there being no pressure, do you feel that showing up every week on Instagram creates any pressure, or have you not noticed that at all yet?
I guess there is a slight pressure in terms of that, but the only pressure really with that is like, if I decided I didn't want a contest, but I could just slowly not post that. And no one, I mean, people might ask, but no one really cares that much. Like, people probably forget.
Yeah, that's
true. You know what I mean?
And then with that, because you said you had a consult at the beginning, would you get a consult, like a one-off consult at some point, just to
I was thinking that as well, maybe like a peak week kind of thing. But to be fair, like, I haven't really felt like I needed one, because in my head I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to talk about in this consult?
Well, it's just it would be like, they might not say anything that you don't already know, but it's just a reaffirming of like, I'm actually like, and if it's with the same person, it might not be, but we spoke 6 months ago or 3 months ago about this. This is where I am currently. Would you change anything about what I had in mind for the next 12 weeks?
Maybe, but I feel like at the moment, because I'm quite a harsh critic of myself, and I think I'm quite self-aware, I don't necessarily think I need that, because I know, okay, I need to pull my finger out my ass to push a bit harder, because there's a certain look or a certain condition that I want to get into.
Cool.
And I kind of know, because I've been doing it for so long now, I've done like multiple contests, but I kind of know where I'm at in terms of my weight. Like my body weight is pretty reliable for me, because I know what my stage weight is, versus maybe somebody who hasn't done it before themselves. You're guessing, you don't know where your stage weight is, or you don't know where your end weight is. it's going to be a lot harder. I've done multiple seasons now where I know pretty much where my stage weight is. I know where my end weight probably is going to need to be, and it's going to fall somewhere in between that. I know the pacing. So I'm like, okay, look, realistically, this is how much time I have left. I need to make sure that I'm digging right now, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah. And there's a couple of things that are quite new for you this time around though as well. And like, what's your experience of it? So like the first one we've just mentioned is like coaching yourself. The second one is having a child.
Yeah.
Didn't have a kid last time around.
I've got one on the way as well.
So like, how have you noticed any differences? Because it's pretty, like when I done my shoot last year, it's pretty selfish. Like when you're going through that process, have you noticed that you've like had to be a little bit more selfish, or do you've had to give a little bit more leeway? Or
Yeah, I think it's weird. I think I don't necessarily feel like I'm selfish at the moment, but maybe I am. My wife would probably tell me otherwise. But I feel like probably this time around I have a bit more. It's just experience, right? So you kind of know what's coming around the corner, so that really helps. I think with my daughter, there's definitely loads more snacks around the house than maybe even there used to be, but it's not been too bad. I thought it'd be worse. Maybe it's because I'm just busy, and you know, there's pockets of time where you can do things. I think the one thing that's changed is definitely the amount I train, significantly less. So I'm probably training more like 3, maybe 4 times a week on the whole, whereas before I was probably training like 4 or 5 times, you know, closer towards that. I do jiu-jitsu as well in the mornings.
so how does that fit in?
You know, only the last kind of 3 weeks have I really felt like I'm like drained here. So when you go into those roles and it goes on for a little bit longer and you have to use a little more effort, like I feel like I'm tired. Like I remember one of the roles specifically, like I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I was like, this guy's not better than me, but I'm absolutely exhausted, so I'm just gonna let him like do his thing, because I can't. I've got nothing left in the gas tank. That was the first time I felt like, oh wow, okay, I'm a bit more depleted, and probably even because I competed last week, right, in jiu-jitsu.
And you finished 3rd, right?
I came 3rd.
That's impressive considering that you're like
quite close.
Yeah, like back end of a prep. Because when's your show? Your show's in, is it 6 weeks from now?
So the first one is in 6 weeks' time, but that wasn't necessarily planned. So my planned shows are kind of more like start of September.
Like a little feeler kind of.
Yeah, this was only because the finals was in a much better place. So it's not Scotland anymore. It's like local. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that because it's more local. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done that show.
So like, do you have a show that you're in mind? I'm going to nail this one.
I think it's going to be the British finals. Like for me, that's what I'm targeting. Because the UK DFBA, I think the first show, the qualifier is the week before, and then it's the finals, right? In my head, I was like, oh, do I really want to do 2 shows back to back like that? But then the conversation with myself was really, well, if I'm not gonna dominate in terms of the qualifier and I don't qualify, there's no point. Like, there's no point doing the final anyway. So, you know, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm going all over the place a little bit here because I'm just asking follow-on questions when they come to my head, and I've got planned questions that then I'll come back to. So you've had experience of like being coached. You're now coaching yourself. How do you think both of the experiences are shaping you as a coach? So like, if you're taking competitors on in the future, do you feel like what you're going through now improves your coaching ability or maybe takes away from it in any way, shape or form?
I think so. Initially, when I got coaching, right, it's definitely shaped me quite a lot as a coach to know the systems of how I want to deliver coaching, and also how to actually create timelines for clients, right? And then obviously I've adapted that to a degree for my own clients, and there's certain things that I favor, and I've seen what works maybe for me is not necessarily what works for other clients, and I've tried some different things with the clients that I think, hey, this is really good, I like this, but I've never done it myself. So now it's like a chance to be like, hey, but it works really well with loads of my clients, and I've done it a few times. So like the pre-prep thing, I've never done that myself, but I've done it with loads of clients and it's worked really well. So this one I'm like, hey, I'm going to try it. I'm gonna do it myself.
So when you say pre-prep, just explain for us what
So
that
pre-prep
means.
is kind of like a mini diet beforehand. So if you think, let's say I started around 86 kilos, right? 88 maybe. The first kind of 8 kilos is so easy to come off. And it's kind of like the initial fat loss phase before you start to see any differences, right? But if I was to do that in one shot, that would be like a 30, 40 week contest prep to drop that first initial. And then by the time I've done, 8 kilos, I'm already kind of tired. And then now I've still got to continue with this prep. But once you take a little bit of a break in between, you lose 8 kilos and then you take a little bit of a break, you're now kind of refreshed to then go again. So that's kind of the reason why I do like a pre-prep.
So like I said, like another word for it, like priming phase, maintenance, and then
Kind of, yeah.
diet,
But
like,
I wouldn't even necessarily say priming
I say
phase.
priming, like preparing for
Yeah.
the prep. So like whatever that might mean, training, recovery,
Yeah.
body fat percentage going down, or
Because that first 8 kilos, piece of cake.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, and I think to do that at the start of prep is almost pointless. If I had to start prep earlier, it was kind of pointless. It's kind of like, hey, let me lose this first initial 8 kilos off, get rid of that fatigue, whatever little bits of fatigue that I had in place, gone first, and then get to eat a little bit more, and then basically, in that period of finishing that first initial diet to that maintenance phase is probably priming, I would say.
Yeah.
You're really priming your body to then be like, hey, I've got some sort of routine now because I did some dieting initially. My body fat's a lot lower. I'm learning to acclimate to that. I'm setting aside some structure now to my training, nutrition. So then when it comes to prep starting, which was March, I'm now ready to go.
Have you got any clients that are currently competing or prepping?
I don't
now?
have any this season, actually. I was supposed to have one client this season that was competing, but he went through some personal stuff, so he's not prepping.
Are you planning to use like any of what you're going through now as content? I know you're documenting like is it one a week, like your kind of accountability thing, but are you looking to maximize what you're doing yourself to get, like, do you want more contest clients?
I think for me, I like to have maybe 1 or 2 a year.
So you don't want to be like a prep coach or anything?
But that's not really my thing. I like, because the two clients that I had last year that were prepping, that was quite full on. I feel like I gave them a lot of time, and I think it's hard work being a prep coach. If you do it genuinely properly, like someone like Christian, like from what I see, man, that's hard work, man. I don't know how he does it, to have so many conversations at the same time.
Yeah.
Because when you coach Gen Pop, it's like, you have conversation, but it's definitely not as urgent, or it's not the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like deadlines, timelines, specific updates.
Fickle as well.
Yeah,
bodybuilders is so fickle.
I think it'd be in my head, it'd be fairly okay. Apart from maybe like the last 6 weeks when you get into like the first.
But everyone's gonna constantly.
That's what I mean, like
6 weeks,
peaking. Well, like if you've got a few athletes in like specific shows or peaking around the same time, then it's like, actually, I've got 6 people to peak this week. That would be crazy, because
and then
that's
you got to remember everything. You got to remember the look and be like, ooh, you look better here or not.
Yeah, so like
that's
I would.
headache.
Yeah, it's difficult. So, what's your main takeaway before we wrap up? Like, what are you hoping to achieve from this prep, and then what will you carry from it moving forward? And that's like from a personal standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. Like, what do you?
I think from a personal standpoint, like what I really want to achieve, I just want to get into the best condition that I've ever got into. That's like my big goal. I've never really had inside out shredded glutes. I don't know if that's there this year either, but I'm not sure, but we'll see. So the main thing is challenging myself, keep pushing myself to the hardest that I possibly can, get as lean as I possibly can. If it means that I get shredded glutes, then, and I can, that's going to be the best for my physique, then that's going to be the case. If it's not, then it's not. But I just want to get on stage where I feel like super happy. I don't think I've ever stood on stage where I'm like truly happy with the outcome. There's always been something. Like last season, I stepped on stage and I had that nut allergy. That was the first time I had the walnut, and that was my peak week.
No.
Fucking had anaphylaxis and I went into hospital, and but I still won the show on the weekend, that kind of thing. So I've never really had a proper peak, because there's always been something that's come up. You know what I mean?
And then from like a coaching standpoint or anything else, like do you have any things that you're looking to take away, or maybe?
I think the hardest thing for me is like thinking, you know, when everyone always says, oh, you need a coach, right? And I'm kind of doing the opposite, where I'm not having a coach, despite preaching that you should. I think that's a little bit of a fight at the moment.
Well, because like you say this, and that's a really interesting point, but I look at it not the same. I look at things weirdly anyway, like I'm very probably on the spectrum, because I think that would be a superpower that you don't realise, because everyone's had a coach, not everyone prepped themselves.
Mm.
And you've got both sides of the coin to be able to relate to people that, okay, you think you can go it alone. Here's why you probably shouldn't. Are you prepared for insert whatever it is? Here's why you probably should. Are you prepared for whatever it is?
Mm.
Like, it sounds a bit weird. Like if there was no health complications, or I wouldn't be I would like to be fat. Just to experience. But like, just to experience, like, because like I promote and preach like, oh yeah, I've had some decent results where people have lost kilos and kilos of fat.
Just to experience it, right?
But just to experience it, and like for no reason, and just because I can say then, I've been where I've done both sides of the coin. Like
it's never quite the same. I always think that I like that idea as well. But it's never quite the same, because you are, one, you're choosing to be fat, but two, you haven't been fat your whole life.
Yeah.
So growing up with it is going to be a little bit different. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, this is not exactly, it's not the same, but like most people would feel like, they just would rather, I'm in shape, I want to coach people to be in shape. But my mind always works like, I would
wonder
like
what that feels like.
Yeah, and it's just like,
I always say that with periods as well. You know, like okay, but a lot of women will say, I've got this, and I can't do this because of this. It's really hard for me when I coach to be explicitly to be like, no, you're not, you know. But if I try it myself and I'd be like, hey, I felt this.
Yeah.
You're lying. Or like, this is what I do. You know what I mean? But I don't have that, you know, ability to say that at the moment.
So like that's
where,
yeah. What are you planning? Just here.
Yeah.
Updates. This is his last kid. We're gonna be Himina.
That's it.
So yeah, like I think like I do get what you're saying about like maybe contradictory, but I think that might be a superpower if you lean into it as well, because not a lot of people would be able to say that, or would be able to see and have experienced things from both sides.
Yeah, I never thought about that actually.
Cool.
I think one thing that I would say is that the only reason why I'm able to do this now myself is because I did have many coaches before. Yeah. So I've had like 5, maybe 6 coaches in the past, and I did that for like years, you know, not just like a coach for like a little bit, but like consistently having someone. And that's what's allowed me to be in that position now, to feel confident enough to do it alone, right? But a lot of people kind of go back and say, I'll try it myself first. It's like, yeah. Probably not a good idea if you haven't got the experience, especially to go all the way and do a contest prep. That's for sure.
Cool. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to speak about before we wrap this one up?
Nothing really. Hold me accountable, guys.
Yeah.
Wish me luck.
You just brain fogged now. Nothing really. I'm ready to go on the snap.
Yeah, that's
cool.
it.
Well, this is my episode hosting. Let me know how you think I did. Let me know if there's any questions that I missed. Not me, no. Let him know if there's any questions I missed, and he will get them answered for you. But just to give you a little peek behind the curtain of, first of all, a contest prep, and then also what it feels like to prep yourself if you're going to. I probably wouldn't recommend it for the majority of people, but you've heard from someone's experience that has had extensive coaching in the past. So it's kind of like a little bit of a peek behind the curtains. But for now, you can find me at Jewade Graham Coach. I almost forgot that. You can find me at Jewade Graham Coach. You can find him at Gym with Him. See, I've never done this before, so I'm just
He's
treading
doing
water
all right.
here.
He's doing all right.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, because we do read every single comment. From us, we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.